What's happening right now in downtown LA is not okay. People are throwing rocks on police officers and federal agents. Most of them have never even been to Mexico. The real Mexican people, they're busy working. They don't have time to go burning cars. I am always for the people. I love humans. I love my Mexican friends.
What is your opinion on ICE and what they're doing to a Mexican family and separating their children from a mom and a dad?
Of course, it makes me sad.
We were out on that street for like good 2 hours waiting for somebody to come pick us up. That's a hard thing to do, especially if you're just starting off in America. Maybe you don't have a college diploma. As you just said, they're probably working 2-3 jobs, so they're able to maybe bring their families here.
Do I think that coming into any country illegally is okay?
Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Pretty Deep Podcast. I'm Petra.
And I'm Dajana.
And yeah, we're gonna dive deep into our subject today with everything that is going on right now in LA. I just wanna hear your thoughts about it and yeah, just bring it on.
Yeah, so I think that everyone is familiar with what's happening in LA right now, but just for the sake of our audience, if there are people in different countries that don't know, there are protests happening just like the way that they were in 2020, and downtown LA is madness right now. There are, cars being set on fire, people are throwing rocks on police officers and federal agents, and vandalizing stores, going into, get some sneakers and...
Oh, wow.
Yes. So here's what I actually think about it. So these people that are protesting right now, when Jill Biden said on microphone, "Sí, se puede," instead of "Sí, se puede," and then everyone was laughing and talking about it, and it was just hilarious because she couldn't even pronounce like 3 simple words in Spanish. So the people protesting are the "Sí, se puede" people who, most of them have never even been to Mexico, and a lot of them are not even Mexican. So the problem that I have with the protests are how disrespectful they are, and the fact that they're vandalizing, setting things on fire, ruining our city, and making Mexican people look bad. The real Mexican people, they're busy working. They don't have time to go burning cars and attacking police officers and horses. But do you think
that's just solidarity from American people?
So if you want to say it's solidarity of American people, then how does it help a Mexican person if you go in and steal yourself some sneakers? It's just these losers that are sitting around waiting for the next thing that happens so they can protest, and they have no jobs. They go out there and they burn things, and they go into stores just like,
Is that really what's happening? They're breaking into stores again?
Yeah, they're breaking into stores. Wow. In 2020, do you remember on Rodeo Drive? They were like breaking into Gudić and a bunch of different stores. So how exactly is that helping the Mexican population in America? I don't see that at all.
Yeah, not just Mexican, right?
Some people may say, well, it's awareness, and they're fighting for their rights. But the Mexican people, the ones that I've talked to, they're embarrassed with this kind of behavior, and they're out on the streets waving Mexican flags, and it just doesn't even make sense. Like, you are waving the flag of the country that you don't want to go back to. It doesn't make sense. And what I'm realizing about a lot of the protests in America is that they don't make sense, right? Are they being paid? What is happening? And so as far as the people go, I am always for the people. I love humans. I love my Mexican friends. I speak Spanish. I know that you know that, but I just have so much love for that country. I learned their language. But what's happening right now in downtown LA is not okay. It's embarrassing.
But what is your opinion on ICE and what they're doing to, let's say, to a Mexican family and separating their children from a mom and a dad? Is that something that you agree on, or is that something that makes you sad?
Yeah, it's very complex. It's not black and white. And of course, it's makes me sad, to see little kids going to court by themselves to fight for their right to stay here. Do I think that coming into any country illegally is okay? No, I don't. I think that there's a certain process that we have to follow in order to go and live in another country. The same process that I followed, that you followed. We didn't just like show up here and stay, which it's interesting because somebody just said to me the other day, well, you know how many Serbians I know that are illegal here and how many people from the Balkans? Okay, those people too. It doesn't matter who they are. I just feel like none of them should be here illegally. There's a background check you have to take before you get into this country. It's important that we know who's here. It's important that we know if something happens, and of course, most of them are good people. They're not committing crimes, but there are crimes being committed by illegals. And how do you find them when we don't even know they're here? And I'll tell you one thing that happened to both you and I, actually, when we were in Miami, that I thought was so crazy. Remember when we went to Key West? Mm-hmm. So we rented a car. And we said, let's go to Key West for the day. We were in Miami and we got in an Uber and it took us somewhere downtown. And I don't know exactly what this part of Miami is called because I don't know Miami that well. But I just know that we got in an Uber and it dropped us off somewhere downtown Miami where we picked up Arturo, the car. And we took it to Key West. We had so much fun. We drove back. It was like a little convertible. We came back and we had to drop the car off at the same place where we picked it up. When I tell you that we called 6 different Ubers, not a single spoke English. And we were stuck in a really bad area. And thank God that I could speak Spanish to them, because what if none of us spoke Spanish?
I remember freaking out that night. I wasn't feeling good. I was so dizzy. We were out on that street for like good 2 hours waiting for somebody to come pick us up, because I remember we were putting our address and it just wasn't picking up right through the app. They were taking every car somewhere like 2 or 3 streets down, right? So, and I remember, we tried to call six of the drivers and none of them spoke English. And not that they were all, Latinos but they
were. Because I remember talking to them. Oh. Yeah. Well, one person was from Portugal. And so I couldn't talk to them because they didn't. Yeah. I don't speak Portuguese, but then the other 5, they were all just speaking Spanish, and they didn't want to pick us up because we were in a bad area. Yeah. And then there's some guy. Do you remember that guy? Yeah. He was homeless and he was following us. Oh my God,
that was the first beat that we had. Yeah, he was following us. I mean, he was harmless, you could tell, but still. How many of us were there?
It was 4 of us. It was really dark. Yeah. It was about midnight. He kept like picking something off the floor and like running after us and saying things to us.
Yeah, he picked the flowers.
Yeah, and then thankfully there was some lady there who worked in security, and she just came and she just like stopped and she put her lights on and he saw her and ran away. But even to her, I had to talk Spanish. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love Spanish and Mexico, and I mean, how do you come to America and not speak English at all? Mm-hmm. And are these people even legal? Mm. Like, so we're getting in an Uber in a really bad area at midnight. They don't speak English. Is there a background check on that Uber? Mm. Who is this person picking us up? Mm.
You know what? Oftentimes I notice, even in LA happens, like I will get an Uber and I will see the picture of the guy who's picking me up, but then he has like a female name, so they're under somebody else, because when you start to drive for Uber, I think you have to go through a background check. Like they check you.
That's exactly what they do.
You need to have your license, you need to have your residence, all of that. So yeah, that's really creepy because you don't really know who you're getting into in the car with,
Exactly.
So, but a part of that, when we look on the humanity side, right, I do feel bad for those people because they're all coming here. Not all, of course, there are some gang members or criminals, right? But I do feel bad for the people who are really seeking just a better life for themselves.
Of course.
So now imagine me and you, we were born in Tijuana, right? And we're in a bad neighborhood. We can't earn money. We have 6 kids, you know.
I mean, we were in those situations.
Yeah.
We were. We lived in the war.
Yeah.
After the war, my dad applied to come to America as a refugee and then waited for me to come for 5 years. And I waited 14 years to reunite with my family. I mean, yes, that happens to humans. Does that mean that I'm just going to go enter a country illegally? I mean, it's not even good for you. And I know Serbian people here. I know like 2 or 3 ladies who have done that. And they come here, they work for like 3-4 years, save up as much as they can, and then they go back with the money that they made here and never come back here again. So it's kind of unfortunate. You ruin your chances of actually coming here and staying here legally. And do you know the story of how I brought my mom and sister here? Oh my gosh. So, wow, it's a lot. It's a long story, but I'm going to try to sum it up. So, when I left my mom and sister, I was 14 years old. And it was one of the worst days of my life. I was really sad because I was so close to my sister and I never wanted to go to America. And my parents just knew that that would be better for me, that I'd have more opportunities, especially in education. And so finally, they decided for me to come here at 14 years old. And my main goal became bringing my mom and sister here. And any decision that I made in life, you know, for example, moving from Cleveland to LA or what college I'm going to go to, I made all those decisions based on what would help me bring my mom and sister here. So long story short, I was living in Cleveland and I went to a lawyer that actually brought me here. And I told her the story, and I remember like reading a lot, and I saw somewhere how if you're not 21, you can't bring anyone here, but I went to the lawyer and she told me, she's like, oh yeah, you can do that, no problem, you can bring them together. She told me all the things that I wanted to hear, right? And I was so excited, and I was working in some restaurant, and I remember paying her, it was either $2,000 or $2,500. And I gave her my last dollar, and I was so happy. I was like, yay, I'm bringing my mom and sister here. She stopped responding to me. She took my money, stopped responding to me, and later on... The lawyer who actually brought me here. So she had credibility. No, I would sit on hold for 2 hours. I tried to show up at the building. I couldn't find her. It was crazy. What? She just didn't care. She just took the money and that's all. I don't know if it was like...
How do you not care? Especially being a lawyer, you know the law.
She didn't. Her name is Marta, and she worked downtown Cleveland. I swear.
Where is she now?
I have no idea where she is now. I actually should go and like try to report her in some way. I was so innocent.
But how she's not scared that you could have done that?
I was 16 and she was probably like, this girl's not going to do anything. So anyway, after that, I learned there's rules, right, to bringing someone to America. So I had to be 21 years of age. My mom had to come first because to bring a parent, it takes 2 years. To bring a sibling, it takes 9 years or more. And you may not even be successful at it. So what I had to do was actually bring my mom first, have enough money that I can prove. I had to show my income on paper that I can take care of another human being, which that was another challenge in its own because I was working in nightclubs making money in tip. So then I had to find a job that showed money on paper so I could bring my mom and sponsor her. And then after that, when she came, for 2 years, she was flying back and forth so she can be with my sister and with me because she got her green card. But you can't leave the country more than 6 months when you have your green card. So she was flying back and forth, and my little sister was with my grandparents at the worst age in her life, like where you need a parent. And we really went through it in order for them to come here. And it took me 14 years to bring my mom and sister here legally. And my mom has her passport now, and my sister is in the process of getting hers too. So it's not easy. It takes time. And I just think that it's a complicated process. You know, immigration, at this point, it's funny because my lawyer was like, if you ever look for a job in this field and you want to go to law school, I'll hire you. Because I learned more than anyone after that lawyer just took my money and scammed me. So I know what it's like not having your family here. I know what it's like wanting to reunite. I know what it's like to be thinking about them, to work and send them money. I know all that. And I am sad for the people that are going through this right now, that are being separated from their families. But I don't know what the answer is. You know, I'm not someone that can solve this puzzle. And I clearly no one can solve it. It's very so complicated
issue, yeah.
But I also don't think it's okay what they're doing downtown LA. It is ridiculous. It is just pointless, you know, and they're making Mexico look bad. I mean, I said that before and I'm going to say it again. Mexican people are busy working. Mexican people that I know have 2, 3, 4 jobs. You know, I worked with a guy who he told me he was sleeping 3 hours a night, because he was working 3 jobs so he could pay for his family. He had a big family.
Yeah, I was just about to say, when you were mentioning how much money you had to pay towards the lawyers and what it took for you to bring your family here, I'm just thinking like, that's a hard thing to do, especially if you're immigrant, right? You're just starting off in America. Maybe you don't have a college diploma. So as you just said, they're probably working 2, 3 jobs. So they're able to maybe bring their families here. And so they're able to go through that process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is there any way for that person to even bring their families here?
Yeah.
Because, you know, in your case, I feel like, so your dad came to Cleveland as a refugee. He escaped the war. Because of him, you were able to come here, right? Because of him, you were able to get your U.S. passport. And then because of that, your mom and sister were able to come.
Well, no, because of that, my mom was able to come. And then because of my mom, my sister, there's a way.
When but I'm just saying, everything started from your dad coming to America in a proper way as a refugee, right?
Yeah. And do you know what? You know how many people applied and didn't get it?
Oh, really? Yeah, I was just about to ask, like, how many people they accepted during the war.
I don't know exact numbers, but I know that a lot of people, including some of my family members, they never got to come here.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get approved.
Yeah.
So.
But my point is now, if you do have, let's say, a guy from Mexico crossing the border illegally, and now he's here in the first place illegally, right? How do you achieve that? Other than, I personally came to America I got my O1 visa.
There's a lot of different ways.
Yeah, there is a lot of different ways, but the only way I was able to come here was because I'm a model. And I remember I told you this story. I went to embassy and I went to like 2 or 3 hour long interview, and they weren't sure if they should approve me. So I had to wait like 2 weeks. Then they gave me a call. Okay, you're approved. You can go. But it was a hell of a process.
There are always ways to come legally. It just depends on how long it takes, right? Like if my mom didn't come and I wanted to just bring my sister, it would have taken 9 years.
Wow.
So it takes time.
It takes time. I mean, I'm currently in a process, and I've been here for 7 years. And as I said, I got my O1, and then I got married, and then I applied for a green card, and I'm still, so my husband and I, we were married for 5 years now, and I'm still in the I still didn't get like my green card for 10 years. I still have a green card with conditional green card. That's how they call it. Yeah. So we just actually, like a month ago, we had to send our papers again, and so they can, you know, our evidence, you know, that we're really together. So it's a long process, you know. And then if I do get my 10-year green card right now, it's going to take another year or 2 until I can apply for a citizenship, until I can apply for a passport, right? So it's but I think with every country, I think even Carmen asked me, my husband, the other day, I would love to have a European passport, you know, and I was like, Carm, I mean, you can't just go to Croatia and apply for a passport just because you're married to me. You will have to go there and be a resident for a while and then go through probably the same process as we have to go through here.
I mean, when we go somewhere in Europe, usually you can stay for 3 months and then you gotta go.
I do feel bad for people who are being separated from their families right now, for the people who've been here for 10, 20 years and now suddenly they have to go back. My heart aches for those people, of course. People should follow laws, right, of each country they're coming to. So yeah, I think we can stop here. This was a little bit different from our usual conversations, but it's an important subject. And, I would love to hear more from people about it. And I would like to exchange experience with some other people and hear their thoughts.
Yeah, so it's funny because, when everything happened in 2020, my first instinct was go and protest, go and fight. Go and be a part of it. And then I remember it was literally happening right in front of my building and everyone was walking by and I still have these videos. My sister and I actually both went and we were a part of the protest. And then we started seeing people lighting cars on fire and we started seeing people breaking into stores, and then it got dangerous even for us to be out there. And then I remember getting home, it just felt wrong. Something just felt wrong. I was like, so I was emotionally fueled, right, by other people and what other people are saying. And that's exactly what happens a lot to the people on the left. So the people on the left are very emotionally fueled, and most of the time they don't even have the facts. They just point the finger and say, you're this and you're this and you're that, right? And it's not black and white. Again, you have to be able to have a conversation and hear the other person's point of view. And when we sat at home and we talked about it, we both agreed that it just felt wrong, that we were a part of destroying the country that we are living in. And a lot of people hate America, right? If you hate America, you can go anywhere else. How about these Americans who hate this country so much? Please go live in a third world country for 24 hours and we'll see how much you hate America. You'll be back here before you know it. The opportunities, the education, everything we can do here. I mean, you have to be grateful for that. But it's interesting how, people that live here, they were born here, they just don't know how good they have it. And they just look for reasons to hate America and, the stolen land, BS and all that. I can't. So that's that's where I stand with that. And thank you guys for watching today, and we'll be back next week.
See you soon. Bye.